Hi, this is Maurice Bernard and Anna Demergis. Welcome to the Maurice and Anna Show.
Hey, so we are here again on the Maurice and Anna show. For some reason, he had me do the intro for this one.
Because I just felt like I've done like 5, 6, 7, 10,000 of these.
I know, but everybody knows who you are. They don't know who I am. So,
Well, you're Anna Demergis.
wow. He
Yeah.
said my name for the first time. Could you imagine
I'm bad,
correctly?
I'm bad with last names.
It's taken him a while. Yeah.
You want to introduce?
Yeah, I do. I do. We have a very special guest today. He's a very good friend of ours. We met several months ago. Who's a very kind person, extremely intellectual. He is a genius software architectural
Genius.
engineer. I think you are, from what I've heard.
Architectural engineer.
That's what I keep telling
That's
everybody.
right. Software architect, correct?
Yeah, well, I've done software architecture.
Oh, okay. So he's an entrepreneur. His name is Alex Clark.
How you doing, Alex?
Hi, Alex.
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
What's going on, man? Listen, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the Bay Area.
No.
Yeah.
See, you
Sunny
have
California.
something in common.
Well,
Wait, where did you
I
grow
grew up, I was born in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. I was born in Fresno, but I was only
Yeah.
only there long enough to be born, and then I went to San Jose.
Oh, but still, San Jose is San
Yeah.
Jose. Yeah, I grew up. I was born in San Francisco, and then my mom and we moved out because it's too much violence. I won't get into it. And then
Never
we
wants to get into it.
moved into the suburbs of Martinez.
Okay. Yeah. My old hood. I
Wow,
love it.
I didn't know it was from the
See?
Bay
You just
Area.
thought I was a friendly Canadian?
No, I thought. Well, since we just picked you up out of the street,
I looked hungry.
We had lunch, you know.
I kept looking in the window
We
longingly
have air conditioning.
at the burrito.
It's 110
and the lettuce.
degrees outside.
that's amazing. Yeah, but that's cool. I love when people are from where you're from. You know.
Yeah, it's a good place to be a tech guy. I'll tell you what.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, that's where it all is. These
How did you get into all that? So first of all, let me ask you.
Yeah.
So you're like smart as hell, right?
That's what I try to tell everyone.
You have, because I barely graduated from high school, but here's the thing,
Yeah.
and then we'll get into your stuff because I'm really kind of into people who are very smart.
Why does Anna laugh whenever you say I'm smart?
Look, let me explain something, Alex. Anna
Is she not in on
laughs
it?
at a lot of things that I don't understand why she laughs, but she just does laugh like that,
Because I love you guys.
or she interrupts a lot too. You'll get into that later.
Okay, we'll get used to it.
Okay.
It's a good thing to get used to. Go ahead.
You see what I'm talking about? Okay. I barely graduated from high school, and not to pat myself on the back, but I don't think anybody has, I may be doing, let's just put it this way, I may have done better than anyone who's ever went to my high school in the history of my high school.
Yeah?
It's interesting, right? But I've always felt really kind of insecure in the area of I should have learned more. So
Okay, yeah.
you were straight A's and all that kind of stuff?
No.
Oh.
Not at all. And I didn't
see.
graduate college. So I did high school.
Oh.
I finished high school. I did 3 days at San Jose State.
3 days.
It's enough, right?
It's like orientation.
Well, yeah. I was sitting in a lecture hall of 700 students, and I could barely see the professor.
Right.
I was living on my own at 17, so I had to work, for every dollar. Every dollar mattered a lot, and I was like, okay, I'm paying I think it was $1,000 a unit at the time. And I'm like, I can't even see the professor. What am I doing here? But I kept going to college kind of because I felt I should. And I dropped out of there, went to community college,
That's smart.
and I kept going to classes earnestly trying to get my degree in computer science. But things would come up. It was, the boom in Silicon Valley at the time. So
Oh, yeah.
I was taking my courses, but then I'd get a job and they're like, well, we need you to, work all these hours. And eventually I would just drop out of the class. And then eventually I remember it was a C programming class. I'm bored with the details of that, but I went to the professor and I'd been doing programming in that language for so long at that point for a couple of years. And I said, can I just challenge the class? Which basically means I just take the test for the final. If I pass, great. And
Wow.
I remember the professor was like, nobody challenges my class. It's like, all right, then I'm out. I'm just out. And I dropped. And I never went back. And so I think that kind of goes to a comment you made about learning more. There's a lot of different ways to learn things. I think
Yeah.
you've probably learned a heck of a lot more than most
Yeah.
people.
Real life.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
street smart, that's for sure.
Right.
But
And there's ways to get education. I think one of the things that I had that I really appreciate is when I was growing up, my father said to me, college is one path, but it's not the only path. Choose the one that's right for you. So he wasn't, that traditional, you must go to college, get your
right.
degrees, do that. He's like, there's a lot of paths you can take. And so I took, maybe a similar one to you where it's the formal education path served me only so far. And I felt that maybe there's a different path for me.
But the differences in what I do is creative acting, right? And being sexy. You know what I mean?
Not forget that.
Yeah, let's not. But for you, it was more brain, right? I mean, what you're doing now, right? Intellect.
Yes, definitely less of a requirement on sexy and computer science. But a different part of the brain. So you do have to have a creative side, I think, when doing a certain type of software or doing it at a certain encompassing level, meaning...
But what's software? What does that mean? That's all like, what is that software? I don't even know what that really means.
Yeah, it was described by a famous author once as building air castles. You just have ideas and thoughts and you program what you think in a structured way into a computer, and then the computer will do what you think.
Damn.
So the really cool thing about
Scientific.
it, what I loved about it, was I could read people's source code, what they wrote, and I can understand how they think. And I can really get into the mind of a person. And here's a kind of a funny one for me. I worked with a lady once years ago, and she was a very unique thinker. She's just odd. She was just a weird lady. And she would...
What's her name? Oh.
Yeah, exactly. And she would make, weird ideas, weird ways of doing things, make inappropriate comments to people, and just kind of out there. Well, we eventually had to let her go from the company. She was just too inappropriate. And years later, I got hired by a company to do some consulting. They were having some trouble with some source code, and they couldn't get it to work right. So they hired me to just take a look. So I'll take a look at it. And I think within 5 minutes, I went, oh, I know this brain. I've seen this brain before. And sure enough, I went to the company and I said, so who wrote this? And they told me the name, and I went, all right, is it this person? And I pulled up her profile. Like, yeah, that's her. How did you know? I'm like, yeah, because you can really think, you can understand how people think.
Dang. You mean through something that she would write?
Yeah.
So he's better than a psychologist.
What?
Obviously.
But what?
Clearly. Let me not write anything for you.
That is, I like that a lot, man.
It's not for...
You could have been a detective then.
Well, I guess in a way, sort of, I am. I mean, there's always problems in the code. There's logic. There's issues where the software doesn't work right, always. And part of the fun is you have to kind of think backwards and go, where did this all start? Where, here's the crime scene. What led up to it? And where's the issue? So it's not for everybody. People have looked at me and said I'm crazy for sitting in front of a computer all day, but I loved it. It's just the way my brain works very well.
How are your eyes?
My eyes are really good. Okay, so my eyes were really good.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
So I needed LASIK. So I had contact lenses for the longest time, and I always wanted to be a pilot. Couldn't get into the Air Force because at the time LASIK didn't qualify you. So did a lot of things where contact lenses weren't going to work. I did some competitive fighting when I was younger, and you get hit with a contact lens in, and it's just not super great. And so I got LASIK, and the doctor was like, okay, you work in computers. I'll get you around 2020. Well, literally the next day, I go into his office. He's like, you're 2015, so I'm better than 2020, right? I'm further. And I was like, okay. And then I think on the 1 month follow-up, I was 2010. I believe I've read that the human maximum was 2010 or 28. So I was right. He overcorrected. I could see through space and time.
Wow.
Like it was super
Let's get
crisp.
that doctor's number.
Yeah.
Problem was, because I always work in medium view, it was too much for my eyes to focus back. So, your eyes have to focus, pull the lens.
Right.
So now I'm a little bit, what I lost was the ability to see up close as much. And the doctor said to me, when you turn 40, we can't fix it with LASIK. Well, sure enough, 42. It's like reading an aspirin bottle going, you make the font smaller. And so now it's trade-off.
So you're combat. What kind of combat?
Oh, it was the style I did was Bok Fu, which means white tiger kung fu. It's a mixed martial arts style of kung fu and jiu-jitsu and all that stuff. So a little bit of punching, a little bit of grappling.
Really?
Nothing super extreme like the MMA guys or anything.
Yeah.
So I just did it for...
I boxed for 25 years.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
I haven't boxed in about 3 years now, but I love boxing, man.
Yeah, I fought a Golden Gloves guy once.
You did?
I did.
A real fight?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was controlled.
'cause
It
I've
wasn't
been in
not a bar fight.
Yeah. That's what I did a lot of that.
No, I always tried to learn to run away from the.
And you fought a boxer?
Yeah.
And how was it?
He was really good. He was very good on defense, very quick, and very accurate with his hits. But because it was mixed style, I could kick and I could grab.
Yeah.
So that gave me an advantage.
Of
in that
course.
scenario. I mean, if it was just boxing, he would have destroyed me. But because I was more in the element of what we were doing.
Yeah.
I was able to win that one.
How do you think Bruce Lee would have done in MMA?
Oh, that's a really good one because I think Bruce Lee, all right, maybe unpopular opinion, but he has become more legend than fact.
I kind of agree with that,
Yeah.
but it would have been interesting. He's small though. He's little.
And he's quick, and he trained he trains all the time. So there's no doubt there's tremendous skill. But if you get him up against maybe some of the real hardened pros,
Yes.
that have been in the ring. I mean, the reason I went into fighting was not because I like fighting. I don't like getting hit in the face very much.
No.
Fun.
But it was the best way to learn, right? I mean, you could practice all day long and do katas and all that stuff, but until someone's actually throwing a punch in your face,
I know.
like, oh, okay, things have
Not the real
changed.
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I found, and well, because I have mental illness and all that, and when I used to box, after boxing, I would be my hands would do this, right, and then it was starting to bleed into my acting, and I'm like, what the? So when I stopped boxing for the last 3 years, no shaking. And people say, why? And I said, well, I think it's because when I'd get in the ring and you got somebody coming at you, throwing a punches, it's always stressful. And so I haven't been in the ring because I don't like this, man.
Yeah.
Not a good feeling.
You know? You want to ask him some questions?
I was trying to, but you just interrupted.
Well, I
me
just
and
took it
started
over because
talking
he was
about
interested.
yourself.
I got interested in his.
Well, that's
Wow,
I'll take that as a win.
shocking.
No, I
Wait,
know.
why shocking again? What is this? I thought we were friends here.
Well, why, like,
Well, you told me to do the
I thought you.
intro.
Yeah, but
Well, whatever. I mean,
I just needed.
I think you gave him your number first anyway. So
Hey, that's the way it works.
Don't be jealous.
whatever. I always get whatever. Anyway, what do you want to talk about? Oh, you know what I heard?
What?
I heard. What did I read? I read that you were supposed to be in 9/11 and you got a phone call the day
Yeah.
that the towers were hit.
I did. Yes. So
That's interesting.
I worked for a software company, and our two biggest customers, Enron and Cantor Fitzgerald.
Oh, you're kidding.
And
Oh my
Yes.
God, Enron.
You could guess it went well.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to be at Cantor Fitzgerald on, I think, on the 106th floor. On
I have a few friends that work there.
did they?
Yes.
Okay. And I was supposed to be there that day. I told my mom, "Hey, I'm going to New York. I've never been before." And she's like, "Okay, cool." And then software being software, I got delayed by 1 week, and I didn't tell her, right? Because I'll just call her after and be like, "Oh, I went a week later. It was no big deal." And so I remember I was waking up. It was like 8:30 in the morning or something, and I see a missed call from her, and I'm going, "Oh, that's weird. She never really calls in the morning. I hope everybody's okay. Like, I hope there's no
Emergency.
yeah." And so I tried to call back. Lines were busy, and So I tried a little bit later. But see, at this point, I hadn't watched TV in 6 years.
Wow.
And
Damn.
I just haven't seen. So I'm like, I got no idea what's going on. I guess I'll just wake up and I'll start writing some software. At this point was when I was creating something on the side. I can't remember what it was for my own project. So I had a lot of time to write stuff. And finally got through to her. She called back and I answered. She starts crying.
Aww.
She's like, oh my God, I thought you were there. I'm like, thought I was where? She's like, you're okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. Like, what's going on? She's like, they're gone. I'm like, what's gone? She's like, the towers, the trade center's gone. I'm like, and of course, at this point,
Wow.
nothing like that had happened before. So you're not, my brain isn't computing an entire, set of massive buildings being gone.
Right.
And so I said, what? She's like, turn on the TV. And of course, that's how I heard about it. So I was supposed to be there and I missed it by a week.
Wow.
Dang.
Isn't that crazy though? It's such a twist of fate. You get a phone call and then you don't go. Your plans change. I know a lot of people that did happen to for whatever reason. Somebody called them and they didn't go, or they got sick that day, or whatever the reason was, and they were supposed to be there and then they weren't.
Yeah.
There's
A
a
lot of people probably.
few narrow calls.
Right.
So when you say you stopped is that when you stopped watching General Hospital? Because you said you stopped watching TV.
Oh,
I really felt like I was a part of it. And
But you,
Did you ever watch General Hospital? That is the question of the day.
I'm sure I've seen some
I'm sure.
episodes.
Only when I'm
Sure.
on.
With him?
When he,
With
when
him?
Yeah, like when Maurice is on, of course, I watched it and I recorded it.
God.
And it was magical. And then when he wasn't on, I just was forgetting.
Yeah, you just turn it off.
What a waste. What a waste
That's
of
the
time.
way
What
it
a
should
waste.
be.
It's so funny because somebody that was his friend that is no longer his friend said to me, oh, so did you used to watch General Hospital? And he's sitting there going, of course. Of course you watched General Hospital. Of course. And then he's like, well, did you have a crush on Maurice? And
Oh, that was.
am I going to answer that? Of course she had a crush on me. What are you talking? I was like, everybody had a crush
Also,
on Maurice.
that's when he started the seed planting. Maybe.
Oh, you think so?
Well, if he's asking you if you had a.
But it's not about, it wasn't a crush.
No, I
It was
understand.
like, wow, that guy is really good looking. He's hot.
But-
what? I mean, all of you guys do that about women.
But
do
Anna,
not.
it
How
dare
seems
you.
like
How dare
a
you.
buddy of mine
Yeah.
asking those weird little questions, and now we're not friends
Right.
because of you
Right.
know.
I have a nickname. Do you want to know what it is?
I really want to know what it is.
Are we going to share the nickname or no?
Now you kind of have to.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't.
You don't know the nickname I have? What did he call me?
Oh yeah, you could do that.
I can? I'm not going to do it.
No, what?
Well, your nickname
gotta-
is obviously tease because you just all this
Yeah.
build up and then nothing.
Alex, she'll tell you. Tell him.
You do it.
Her nickname is Yoko Ono. But let's see if Alex.
Yoko.
Let's see if he figures it out. Why would he?
Oh, broke up the band. Obviously.
I would never. I would
That's
never.
good. He got it quick, man.
I was like, what?
I love
They're mad
that.
at me? What did I do?
I know, but it is kind of funny thing to say.
It's so ridiculous.
It's not nice, but it is. It's kind of. I've never heard somebody call anybody else Yoko Ono.
Imagine. Now you're going to look at me differently. This is not good.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we want to talk about something else.
Go ahead. You know what I'm doing?
What?
I'm watching
Why?
your interview skills.
Oh my God, I'm being tested.
Because-
I was tested
because-
in my acting
because
skills.
Alex-
Now I'm being tested in my interviewing
No,
skills.
her acting was really good, but
Wow.
Alex,
Yeah.
I've been doing this now. I've been acting for
We
over
know.
30 years, but I've been interviewing now for over about 2.5 years. No, about 2 years. It's not easy. It's not, in the beginning, but then you get good at it or better or whatnot. So I'm just kind of watching my partner.
skills must be pretty good because I got you to sit there.
No, I knew you'd be all right, but but Alex, I've been kind of driving this train, kind of,
Well, you're,
but I want to see how she
What do
could
we-
go ahead.
All right.
Okay.
There's definitely a skill. No pressure, but there's definitely a skill. I've been interviewed several times.
Yeah.
And you always know the really good ones from the,
Well, listen, I'm no
No.
Barbara Walters yet.
well, I don't think, yeah.
What? Do not sit there and give me that sign.
I'm just
So, he's like over here helicoptering
I'm
me.
just watching.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
not-
All right, so Alex has a
Yes.
social media platform.
Yeah,
Everybody should know about. Oh, so he's going to cut in the interview,
Oh,
right?
I'm sorry.
So,
Go ahead.
Alex, tell
Go
us
ahead.
about QP.
Well, there you go.
Quantum pigeon, and it like even sounds like a
QP.
pigeon when you get a message, which I really like.
You know,
My ears are always like,
yeah, that name is going to change.
why?
Well, QP will stay.
But why quantum?
Nobody knows how to spell it. Nobody knows what it means. It was too nerdy. It was too techie out there.
That's pretty cool.
Too intelligent?
Not too intelligent. Well, no. I mean, I'd love to say so because that sounds better. It's just it was always a placeholder name.
long?
Too long. It was always a placeholder name. It was like, okay, I've got this idea. I want to build this thing. I need to put something and I'll rename it later. And what happened was Quantum Pigeon was kind of a fun name. So the idea was that it was a better way to message in social media and have access to people without giving up your privacy, your phone number, and all that sort of stuff. That's where it started. So Pigeon was all about messenger. So in the software world, the underlying messaging protocols are Pigeon protocols. The original super early chats were called Pigeon. So I was like, oh, Pigeon, but it's going to be a new one, a new way of doing things. So quantum, even though quantum means small, don't worry about that. So
What does quantum mean?
Small.
yeah, it's the quanta is like the smallest
It's a small pigeon.
smallest part of physics, but it was a new area of science, cutting edge,
Small.
in the
Wow.
1930s. But
I know you don't like that word.
or maybe it means individual. Nobody tests me on this one because you guys started with I was smart and I may be screwing this whole thing up. But so that's where the name started.
Okay.
And I was like, I'll change it later once I figure it out. Branding and marketing will come in. And we hired this really good branding firm, the same, and this really good design firm, the same ones that did Uber and Slack and all these massive corporations. Because it's a consumer app, it's got to be really polished. And we never really got the name to change, but I found QP as a domain, qp.me. And it was like, oh, I'll just use QP, right? Because it flows easily, but it's also people in other languages have difficulty saying certain letters. But QP is pretty universally easily done. So I'm like, okay, I've got the international side covered. It's easy enough of a domain. And we'll be like LG. Nobody will remember what LG stood
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
Or GE.
Well, G is General Electric. That one, everybody. But LG, what does it stand for? Quiz on that one, right? They brand it as Life's
That's
Good
true.
now, but it was originally Lucky Gold Star. And it was because it was a name that sounded good they thought in North America, Lucky Gold Star. Well, it never really took that well, so they became LG, and then they said Life's Good. So I can't think of anything else for QP though. Anyway,
But I like the name that QP.
yeah,
The name's staying.
the name is staying.
I
but
think you're
Quantum
right about the
Pigeon.
pigeons
The
thing.
Yeah.
initials are staying.
Yeah,
But QP's cool.
yeah, it's super easy
I like
flows.
QP, yeah.
QP.me, so QP me is kind of the idea. And the thought was really to be a more authentic, better social media. Not better's rough. I mean, Instagram, TikTok, they have their
Getcha.
values. They really do. And they serve their markets well. We wanted to be something different, more authentic, less
Yeah.
ad-based, less diminishing on mental health and wellness, because that's a
Yeah.
really important thing. You know, all the issues in social media, the way they came about and have evolved, it evolved in a way that people didn't see. And it was really to help them be sustaining with advertising dollars.
Yeah.
The problem was when, Facebook and all these others started out selling, or showing pictures of our lunch to our college friends, that's fine. But Facebook naturally asked the question, how do we keep the lights on? How do we pay for the staff? Well, we'll put in ads. No big deal. How
Yeah,
else are we
yeah.
going to do it? Well, the progression of that is over time, you had the rise of Vine and Instagram, where it wasn't me connecting with my inner social circle, my friends and family. Now I'm connecting to people outside of my social circle. And I'm connecting to people I don't know, but I'm feeling like they're my social circle. And so to drive those connections and to drive eyeballs, which meant more advertising, to sustain their model that they already established, they created algorithms that kept your eyes on the content.
Yeah.
Well, what content keeps eyeballs on? The most scandalous and not necessarily truthful.
Right.
Because
Right,
lies
right.
spread faster and are more
Exactly, yeah.
engrossing than the truth. Because the truth in life is pretty good. Life is pretty good.
Yeah.
It keeps improving.
Right.
Everything's, for the most part, fine on a global scale. Better than it's ever been. But you read that and you're like, oh, that's boring. Oh, no, I got to read how, the Clintons
Exactly.
are eating fetuses and all these things are going
Yeah.
on. And it's just like, what? This is just craziness that's going on. And then, of course, people manipulating that to serve the interests of other governments and stuff. It's not been great. So we look to say that's all nonsense, not for us. Let's have a more authentic, engaged community, smaller numbers. So, you're not going to have 100,000 followers on our platform, but if you have 100,000 followers, how many of them genuinely care? Mm-hmm. You want to find the ones that care and build the community around that.
How many of them genuinely? I'm sorry. Right?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, and so that's what we set out to do. And then what we also wanted to do was people who are creating content, if they want to, they can get paid for it. Meaning they can create subscriptions, they can do one-time posts unlocked, and then we're coming out with this really cool feature, which Maurice, you might like actually, for AMAs, if you know what those are. Basically, very popular on Reddit.
I've heard of all this.
A lot of celebrities jump in for it, but it's basically Ask Me Anything. Mm-hmm. And on Reddit, there's 22 million on the sub to him, and Keanu Reeves broke the record, I believe, with 30 million views when he basically came out with John Wick 4 and said, "Ask me anything."
Wow.
And he beat out Bill Gates and Barack Obama, who previously had the record. So people do these, and not just famous people, though. It's really interesting. So somebody will say, "I was in the Twin Towers on 9/11, ask me anything," or I was part of Silicon Valley Bank when it collapsed, ask me anything. And it's really interesting. Or I'm a plumber, ask me anything. Mm-hmm. And people get really engaged. So we're doing those with video.
Nice.
So the idea is somebody would say, "Hey, Maurice, I want to know about your career," or "I'm a huge fan."
Yeah.
And you can kind of think of it a little bit like Cameo, but it's got some benefits to it. They upload a video asking you a question. Mm-hmm. In your spare time, whenever, you give a response. Mm-hmm. Charge for it or do it for free. So you engage your fans. The fans get something more special because they get their video with you, and it's question and answer. So they feel connected.
Yeah.
Wow.
What the question answerer gets is not only money for answering the question, but the problem with Cameo is, kind of once you've done the shout out, it's one and done. They don't usually come back.
Yeah.
But every time you're doing a project, they might come back. You might be doing something for charity. You might be doing something for whatever. They come back and keep engaging, asking questions. And then if you think it was a really good question and answer on your channel, you can then charge for a subscription to your followers and fans and say, "Look, this further supports what I'm doing." And so you get all that recurring revenue.
That's actually cool.
And then what we do is we read the video question and the response, pull out the information and index it. And so then somebody says, how do I publish a book? And then you get authors and people who've actually done it.
Yeah.
How do I break into daytime TV? Mm-hmm. You get your answer
Maurice
right
Bernard.
there. There you go.
Yeah,
That's what we're
I
doing.
love Cameo, man.
Yeah.
They've been good to me.
I heard they're a really good company, and so this is almost kind of like the next level of it, because I heard one of the challenges is, what do we talk about when they want to shout out? How do I talk for 5 minutes? What do I really say?
Yeah.
But with us, everybody knows how to answer questions. Mm-hmm. So it's instant content.
That's it. Yeah.
Everybody knows, and it's super quick.
I like
We
it.
have different channels for each person, which is really cool.
Different channels for each
We're all
person.
kind of entrepreneurial, and we have different things that we're doing.
Yeah.
So you could have one for your state of mind. You could have one for Maurice and Anna. You can have one for general.
Please don't say the Maurice and Anna. Please don't say that.
You could have one for the good guy.
The good guy's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
General Hoffman.
Oh,
You
God.
can have one for any.
All right. You wanna say?
Am I allowed to say anything?
No, we're done.
No, we're not done. Are we done? We're not done. We're not done yet.
Isn't it?
I don't think so. We're done?
We've been
Wow.
done.
I want to ask something else, though.
I hope it's all in the editing. You can stitch all that together.
Well, he's editing.
What do you think?
Yeah, 1 minute left.
Okay, so can I ask a question?
Go ahead,
No,
and
I
then-
have to ask the boss before asking.
And then you end
Because
it.
it's Maurice and Anna.
I want to see how you end
I
it
understand.
too.
Okay, so we had a great episode here, and Maurice, put his 2 cents in, and then Alex is here giving us intellectual input, and his creativity is just completely genius. But we want to know one thing. If you are an entrepreneur starting out,
Mm-hmm.
what would you suggest?
Just go for it. I think that's the biggest step that I see most people hang up on. A lot of people talk to me and they say, "How do I get started?"
Mm-hmm.
I have this idea. Well, just start, right? Because my previous company, which I was able to sell, it was a winding path. And people ask me, "Oh, how did you come up with the idea you came up with? And how did you think to sell it to GE?" And it was like, well, I didn't. And that was 11 years ago. I started out And it's almost that meandering path to success. So just start, because you'll learn so much on the way, and believe that you can do it, because all the entrepreneurs out there, they're just they're no smarter than anyone else, right? There's no magic to it. Just do it.
You have to have the courage to believe in yourself.
But that's kind of the same thing I said when you asked me about the act.
Yeah,
You
but
just
I
gotta-
asked him now.
I know, but it's interesting that he said the same
You're
thing.
a smart guy.
He almost said the same thing I
Well,
did.
you're successful.
It's trippy, you know,
Right?
because other people might go into this other thing, you know,
Yeah.
but we just kind of said, just go
well,
and
you
do.
had this
Yeah.
undying belief in yourself, right? Like this energy
Yeah.
in yourself that just
Just keep, you
Right,
just
the
do.
fire was
But
there.
you got to get it started, and then you go. But it's, I didn't know what he was gonna. He
see,
said,
even in the tech world, you have to be like that, not
Yeah.
just as an actor.
I think a lot of people
cool.
stop because they're afraid to fail, right? But to me,
Yeah.
I started because I was afraid to fail. Failure to me was not giving it my best shot and having it not work out. That was okay. Failure was sitting back and saying, "Gee, I wish I," right? And being, 20 years down the road, and I'm just like, "Gosh, I have all these regrets. I
Yeah.
didn't try."
yeah.
Yeah,
Because
what
we
if I
never,
should've?
we're not upset when we try our best
No.
and we get rejected. That's okay. It's
Yeah.
we're upset when we're kicking ourselves, going, "I should have done that." Right? So
Yeah.
that was failure to me.
Yeah.
It's great. Well, you done?
That is the best interview exit I've ever said. We're done. We're done.
He knows I'm kidding.
Now I want to know what you're gonna do. Now.
I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to say goodbye and thank you.
I want to thank you, Maurice and Anna, for your time, for joining me on this
exactly,
episode. There we go. How about I?
And you can come back anytime.
Oh, don't.
No, it was
don't get
fun.
rid of
It
me.
was good.
No,
I liked
it's fun.
it. I had a good time.
I
on
love
it.
this.
The whole
We
thing,
Love,
this
we
is-
love people.
Okay. Anyway, we're out of here. This has been. I hope you guys keep watching, because we'll just keep doing. See how that worked?
I love that.
Yeah.
And we're out.
All right. Bye. Why do I look? What am I looking at? Hold on. What am I looking at?
You are looking at the inspirational distance,
No.
the horizon
Oh, the-
of dreams.
It's ridiculous. Every time at the end,
You-
I'm talking to the sky instead of. That's my camera, isn't it, over there?
I know there's one there.
Whatever. All right. Anyway, see you guys later. Bye.